What's up, VS Gaming fam? We're back with another bangers and mash of talking VS. Last week, the streets were lit with debate around the eDiski curse, but today, we're flipping the script because while we were debating curses, new players are knocking on the door of opportunity as every year we have a new breed of players looking to enter the championship stages of the tournament. Now with Asim and Kalen in the grand finals, one of them will definitely be breaking the eDiski curse and becoming our double champion, the first one. This is something no one has done in the 7 years since eDiski started. Just think about that. Now the question is, while history is being made in the finals, are the young pros ready to take over? Or will we see the same OG names keep running the show? Let's unpack that. I have my panel, Nintendo.
Yes.
Guys looking at this one. What do you think?
The best part about it is that if somebody had gotten to the finals that hadn't won before, right? Easy tournament. You know for sure that person's going to win, right? But now it's like, okay, there's actual stakes on the line. Both of you are as good as each other. Both of you are about to make history. And like we were talking about last week, they can only do it once, right?
Yeah.
One of them will have to do it today. I'm super excited.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously, for Kalen, it's being a double champion and going back to back, right? So there's so much for him
That's
to play
like
for.
a double whammy right there. You want both that.
Yeah, of course, man. You want to be that first player to do something like that. And honestly speaking, if there's anyone that can do it, I think Kalen, he's got the guts to make it happen.
I mean, do you think there's a possibility that, in this one, these two gentlemen here, having worked so hard, obviously one of them has to lose out on it, but when they do, what causes that? What do you think it'll be down to? Is it because these guys play each other so often, they know each other well, fine margins? What's the edge and who has it?
I can tell you easily, right, what the edge might come down to, right?
Yeah.
I played a FIFA tournament a couple of weeks back, and I came second because in the finals, I kept hitting the pole over and over and over again, right? Just pure unluck. Those kind of things can happen in these kind of situations when the margins are this tight. And it's also about like where they're coming from. Kalen's coming from the winner bracket, he's feeling himself, dispatched everybody along the way, definitely wants to be able to wipe the entire floor. But we've seen lower bracket runs. Asim won his tournament from a lower bracket run. So he's gonna be in that kind of mode, right? His mind, I think, for me personally, I'd be more scared to play Asim than Kalen because Asim has more to prove that this lower bracket run was not a fluke for me.
Yeah, I always feel like lower bracket players, teams, they sometimes always do kind of emerge as the better opponents, right? Because they have the
They're
longer
sharpened by
road.
steel, right? It's
Yes,
like you're playing all those games, you're getting better
man.
with each round.
And it's do or die all
Yeah.
the time when you're in the lower bracket.
Yeah.
You don't have that other opportunity to kind of fall back and relax like Kalen does. But at the same time, you have to give Kalen his credit. You have to give him his stars for staying in the upper bracket. I mean, this is the second year in a row where he's also done a similar feat. Last year, he went straight through upper bracket, ended up winning the entire thing. This year now, he's also straight through upper bracket and he's eyeing out to win it. But honestly, I mean, Asim has just looked like a beast with his recent gameplay. The passes that are coming through, the utilization of player cards like Thierry Henry, I mean, it's absolutely nuts what he's been able to do so far in the tournament.
And I mean, what we were talking about this, Asim losing out to Zaid at Nazrek. He's back in the mix now, putting himself in yet another final. Can we say that maybe all the unlucky moments have actually developed him and made him a better player?
Oh, definitely. Like, you need to actually go through that adversity, right? That challenge, that struggle. So, because when you win when it's easy, right, then you don't know how to change things up to generate a win, to make a win out of completely nothing.
Right.
And Asim has proven that sometimes he'll be close, might not be able to make it happen, but he's also proven he can get over the line, make those magic moments happen. So I think for him, the bad luck, he'll probably be looking back at it and saying, look, I'm glad it happened yesterday. I'm glad it happened in the previous tournament. Not gonna happen this time around. Here, I'm locked in. And speaking of that tournament that he lost where he was crying, shattered in tears. The person who beat him was Zaid, right? He just beat Zaid. So for him, mentally, I can imagine he's like, oh, that monkey's off my back. I've dealt with that issue. I'm cool now, brother.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it was a massive rematch, honestly, coming in for him. He had a point to prove.
For sure.
I think also Zaid just had too much pressure on him. I mean,
you think so?
It was just too hectic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just too hectic to try and absorb those kind of situations that happen. And then obviously when you have dark horses like Utman that is basically shaking up the entire table and all of our expectations.
Right.
I think it's been just nuts the entire tournament, the way it's went through. We spoke a lot about Hamza. We've been talking about Hamza. Basically, guys, guys.
Yep.
He choked. We can say it now. From what we were talking about last week, he choked. And then, like I said, you had no chokers in your hand. You had the two non-chokers. You had like the two people that are making it straight into the final right now.
No, there we go. I just have this. I get these visions sometimes of how people look at it too. But now, what does this mean for the future of the game when you have so many of the recognizable same names? It seems like there's a bit of a club that's being developed here of sameness. We need someone to break through, come through the glass ceiling. Is there a possibility of that happening, considering how strong the current top four are?
Oh, for sure. I think the top three is where we start to have some issues, right? Those guys are a bit too good relative to everybody else. But the rest of the pack, right? Half the guys that are at this tournament weren't there last year, right? Half the guys that were there last year weren't there the year before.
Right.
Keeps chopping and changing. Masoom was out of contention for how many years, right? He finally is able to make a way back in. You have players like Akil, his first big tournament, he's showing up. Emo basically was in retirement, dragged himself back out, comes into the tournament. So honestly, I think the future is bright. And I think once you have something like a double champion, right? Someone that's like, draws attention. There's someone out there right now watching that's like, nah, bro, that guy's not that good.
Yeah, I also think it inspires people to want to take them down even more.
Right.
All right, when there's just like these three figures that are always in conversation. When you
taking everyone's lunch money.
Yeah, taking everyone's lunch money. You kind of want to be involved in that, and I think next year's one is going to be even more interesting. Like you said, it just keeps chopping and changing. I think consistently, we probably will see like Asim, Zayd, Kalen, who else maybe can come back into the mix. Maybe Utman, if he stays consistent, we might see him come back. But I just think really the way it just keeps chopping and changing, you never know what to expect. And I do not think that these guys can stay on top of their game forever and ever. Not to say that they're not going to be top competitors, but I do think we're waiting for that Telkom vs Gaming story, that eDiski storyline of a rookie that comes in and just sweeps everybody.
I mean, you kind of get that with the high school. You're getting a sense that there's some things happening there. It's not as obvious before, Rida and, Hamza came along. It was a bit more dynamic. I think that also runs the risk of becoming like the upper bracket or the seniors, where you have that situation where it's just the four names that and it's locked in.
What I think is going to probably help as well is that as time goes on and some of the names that are not necessarily in the top four but around the top four, right? Maybe they leave the game, they move on with their lives in a different direction. What's going to end up happening, a lot of them will stay around as coaches, right? You were just mentioning about players who drop off. Giulio the Beast Bianchi wasn't in the tournament playing, right? But he's there in the finals, right? As the coach. So when some of those players start to move on, it'll sort of accelerate the growth of the newer players because there's so much more to learn from directly. I don't have to waste time watching replays that I don't understand. The guy was in that replay. I can just be like, yo, brother, what was happening in the game right now? They explain to you, they can allow the level to get higher. So I do think that we will actually see it become easier to break into that because the brain trust grows larger. There's less effort required to figure them out anymore.
I mean, is this the benefit of an org? Is that you have these competitions, you have the data, you have all the footage to then be able to sit down and pass it and say, okay, cool, this is where we got to break it down. Is that the benefit of having that back-end team to help you kind of sift through all the information that can help you get better?
Look, at the end of the day, there's those people that believe that if you're playing on a 60 hertz monitor versus a 144 hertz monitor, it doesn't matter your gear, right? That's a joke. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, if both opponents are on it.
Both opponents, sure, but I'm just saying in comparison, when people tell you, it's just that thing where it's like, no, you can do it without all of the other things and bits and bobs with you. I am a believer that, yes, to some extent, but you are going to end up needing that backup, the coaches, etc. And I mean, in this grand final, it's going to be a massive coach battle, right? You got Ish on the one side for Nixa, like we're saying, Beast Bianchi as well. It's just hectic. It's just going to be clashing heads, thinking. So I think that's a big added benefit being part of the organization, them being able to get those extra players. And it's not just the coaches that talk to you strategically, there's performance coaches as well. Those guys that are watching your body language and being like, okay, let's pull this guy aside. He's slouching the whole time. He's like this, he's not having a good time. Whereas on the opposite side, you'll see the guy is playing, he's good. So I think there's a lot that comes into the mentality that the infrastructures like the coaches and the orgs can help with the players, I think, for sure.
Okay, so to that point, it means these guys are set up nicely because they are both coming from organizations. And what does that pressure entail? Now you're carrying a whole bunch of other people on your back, not just yourself. I mean, you have the pressure of facing your opponent, but you have the pressure of delivering for an organization. There's a business imperative there.
I think for both of them, it's probably their situations suit them, right? Because I don't think actually either of them would thrive in Goliath, for example, right? With Goliath being this massive camp, everybody's involved. Because they're the focal points. They're the main men. All of the resources of the organization, specifically to you.
Yeah.
Asim, what do you need, brother? Don't worry about anybody else. You tell me what you need, we get it for you, right? And after a while, when you keep delivering those results, you also start like really believing that, yes, I do deserve all of this to flow through me. So I think for them, it's less pressure and more like, I want to reward the
belief,
faith, the belief. You know, the whole team was there. I got here with my own skill. Yes, fine, fair enough. But they needed to be there around me. So if I can hold that flag high, you know, and I look around and there's nobody in the team but me, you know, we go back to the studio, the team house, the wall of trophies, they all say my name, nobody else's. Makes it a lot. There's no pressure to add another trophy, right? But there's less pressure to prove anything. Because what do you have to prove? You already are the main man. Right now, all it is you, Kalen Asim. They're just looking each other dead in the eye and nothing else matters to them at the moment.
I think that's the case that happened to Zaid as well, right? There's just too much pressure on him. There's also that idea, I think, when you have your younger brother who's watching you in the same organization, you trying to show him that, like, no, man, there's these guys that are here challenging me, but I still can stay on top of my game and bring that trophy back home. So I think, yeah, the pressure can come a lot to the players when it comes to delivering. It's really hard to consistently stay delivering, but I'll have to say the two grand finalists we have right now, I mean, Kalen has been delivering since he's become on our radar. Asim basically, you know, since going and winning that title, he's been on top of his game consistently as well. He's always in conversation. I think that's what matters sometimes when it comes to delivering, especially when there's brands and orgs. Sometimes it's not so much about always having to win, but making sure that you're relevant. And I think relevancy is more important for the players than always need to carry the title over.
Okay, let's settle this. Upper bracket or lower bracket? Because every time we're on the ground, we always speak about which run favors a player more. Is it better to drop in, get all those games, get all that exposure? Yes, you may be tired, but you got the muscle memory. Or is it better to be on the upper bracket where you play a couple of games, but then you spend a lot of time idling, waiting for your next opponent?
I think for me personally, right, I'm a lower bracket guy.
Lower bracket.
I'm the type of guy like, the reason I like the lower bracket is because I think your first loss in a tournament actually tells you how far you can go in the tournament, right? You eat that loss, you understand what happened, you adapt, you come back stronger, it's all sweet. You don't really have that much time to do it in a grand final, right? Because now you're not just worrying about, oh, I'm out of the tournament. Now it's like, damn, I'm losing the whole tournament. The whole tournament could hinge on this one game. And the upper bracket, I think, also gives you that self-belief. You see these names, you say to yourself, nah, who are these kids? Please move out the way. I have a grand final to get to. Please, you're impeding my progress. You know? Can give you that little bit of additional edge that I think you do need. For me personally, I think you need that extra edge to win a tournament.
Yeah, I think often people say the easiest route is not always the best, right? I think that's a big saying that comes out. For me, where am I flipping the coin? I think it depends. Where do you start in the lower bracket? You know? I think if
there's two bosses who drop down a lower bracket, then you might have a problem.
Yeah, then you might have a problem.
But if you're the one boss and someone else weaker comes down, then you can start building
then we can start building. I think when it comes to lower bracket, you want to be going down in those first two upper bracket rounds. Either the first run, then you make that insane run where you basically facing every opponent that they throw at you doesn't really matter. Why? You build steam, you build that momentum. Whereas if you lose the winner's final, right, and then you drop down, it can be very difficult to kind of just win that upper bracket final.
Because you kind of had it in your mind that you're in the upper bracket the whole time. So all of a sudden you drop down, whereas the guy who's down there has been there. He's in the trenches already.
Yeah, he's in the trenches. He's already been fighting. He's ready to come back at you. It does not matter. Whereas now you're picking yourself up. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you drop down that deep in the tournament, you're picking yourself up. There was just one game that separates you. And we all know, right, Telkom is always coming through with the cash prizes. They're insane. And the difference between like a third place to like a second place, it's always going to hurt when you go down in that lower bracket final and you end up losing. So for me, I also am with Snare. I prefer the lower bracket run, right? If you're going to do an upper bracket run, you have to put on a clinic. It has to be a clinic, no mistakes at all, flawless. That's the only way I feel like, okay, that is a champion, right? Because that also was the flip side of the coin, right? That champion, that it's like, it's giving Springboks, basically, you know what I'm saying?
So let's talk about the final, because the format there is also interesting, right? Because you have a lot of games. It ends up not being a thing about who can score and win quickly. It's an endurance game, It's, you know, you take the first game, but there's a lot of games for one to prove themselves over. How critical is that for us to be able to understand that that's a true champion? Because we've been so exhaustive with the process to find them.
I think it's really good, especially when you have the double bracket, right?
Yeah.
The bracket reset in the finals, right? So you not just happen to win one best of 5, you must win 2 of them if you're coming from the lower bracket. And obviously upper bracket, they get the advantage, they just need the 1.
Okay.
I think what it does is it tells us that if the lower bracket person wins, you can have no argument, you can have no debate that this person is the best right now.
Right.
And because it's like,
Right.
ideally, for us as viewers, but not for the players, ideally 8 full games, right? You can't tell me if I beat you after 8 games. You can't chat to me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Next tournament, call me
Yeah.
again, let's have something new. So
100%.
it is an unfortunate thing that in past VS gaming seasons we've had, right, there have been players that have been like, well, I got done in dirty by the bracket, I wasn't seeded correctly, this, that, the third. That's not going to happen this year. It's going to be very, very clear.
I think, in fact, last year's one, there was the advantage of... So, yeah, obviously this year's advantage is that if you come from the upper bracket final, you just have to win the 1 best of 5, right? Whereas last year you had the game in hand.
advantage,
Right?
Yeah.
So those kind of things sometimes I feel like throw people off.
Change the dynamic
It just changes the
right?
dynamic completely of what is happening in the game. You're thinking to yourself, okay, I've already kind of won. I've got this massive advantage, and then it just might go crazy. So yeah, there's that massive potential that, like, the grand final could go to something crazy like 10 games. So it's just, I don't even know, where do you begin to get that endurance, right? As mentioned before, someone like Kalen sits on stream at least.
Yeah.
He plays for hours.
Right.
So he's used to having to play so many games. I'm sure Asim is in the same regard. I'm sure he sits and plays games, but that's where it really matters. Like how consistent can you stay after playing X amount of games, right?
So we don't see that preparation except for Kalen, who streams. But you're right, we don't see the hours being put in to kind of get them ready for any situation that might come up as far as their running is concerned.
Yeah, no, I think you have to be prepared for any situation, right? It can get to a point where, for example, if you're like in a sim situation where Kalen just comes in shooting quick, first 2 games, he's already won them completely, and now you have to do that feat of taking us the distance, right? And it's about resetting yourself and being like, all right, just take this a game at a time. Let's see how I can build myself back into this one. So I don't know what you think, right? Like, especially when you have that idea that this could be really long, how critical do you have to start changing your tactics?
That's a good one. I think when you know that you're going to be in for like a long marathon, especially now you're in the final. If I'm a team, I'm using game 1 as an experiment, right? You kind of have to, yes, you can just go at Kalen, try to reset everything, right? But like we're all saying, it's going to be a marathon, it's going to be a sprint. So game 1, spend as much of it changing tactics, looking out, okay, how many times have I used this player? And we started to see it a little bit from Asim, right? He wasn't utilizing Ruud Gullit, for example, throughout the tournament, right?
Okay.
The last couple of games, he was like, okay, there's space in the team to try and bring this guy in. Kaká started to become a superstar for him deeper on into the tournament.
Right.
So experimentation for him, I think, is more necessary from his side because Kalen, yes, he doesn't have an absolute game advantage, but he still has a lot of advantage, right? He's the one that has the least reason to change. He beat Asim earlier in the tournament already, right? So he's coming
For
at this
him,
like,
so everything is good.
Exactly.
I don't need to mess with anything. If it ain't broke, no
don't
need to
fix
fix
it.
it. Yeah.
It's one of those situations where Asim, he's the one that has the onus to make all the changes because Kalen will respond in the finals. But Kalen will also have a tough time, right? Because I think if he loses the first 2 games, right, then things start to look really, really dicey for him.
Okay. So in terms of like now breaking this duck, we say we haven't had a champ do it twice. We're on the cusp of seeing someone do it twice. What do you think it's gonna take? I'm not gonna push you for a prediction as much, but I just want to know, like, when it's all said and done, what do you think is gonna win it? Not who, but what do you think is gonna win it?
For me, I think what's going to win it is mentality.
Yeah.
I think, I always say esports is just a mental game at the end of it, right? You can put in X amount of hours, etc., etc. And I think there's certain skills that you grasp. And once it's grasped, everyone can kind of get onto that same level. Whereas mentality-wise, that's just something that, I mean, we don't have the same mentality. You and me, we don't. So that's where it really matters.
So whoever wins this is a mentality monster.
Yeah, basically, they have to be firm. They have to be rigid. I think the coaches as well need to be the kind that make sure to bring them back into that right mentality to say, dude, it doesn't matter. Just go for the next goal, and then the next one, and the next one, and then by then you've won one game, we've won another game. You know, instead of trying to compact everything and say, yo, the bracket reset, yo, I have this advantage, blah, blah, blah. It's just about, okay, I'm playing this one game, this is what matters.
Counterpoints. I think when it's this close, I agree they have very different mentalities, right? But Different mentality, but at the same level. They're still both elite, right? Just in a different way.
Yes.
Gameplay, different game styles, elite in their own category, right?
So whilst one player might lean into mentality, the other might have another skill set.
What I'm saying is that like they have to approach this. Me personally, is how I would approach this, right?
Yeah.
You're at the casino, right? No matter how good of a you're counting all the cards. You think you have the perfect combination for the blackjack, right? And you're getting 99% right.
Right.
Then they draw the black queen and you're done. There's nothing you can do, right? Sometimes you just have to get lucky. Honestly, I believe that these guys are so close to each other that the thing that's going to separate them is moments of luck. There's going to be moments, I guarantee we're going to see in the finals where one of them is just like, Engine, you're doing me like this, you know? 12th man, you're doing me like this.
Yeah.
Referee, that's not a red card. I'm doing a penalty, it's supposed to be perfectly timed. All of a sudden it's in row Z. What's happening? So I do think it's really going to come down to luck.
anomalies that you can't
Exactly.
really account for.
All you can do is play your best, right? If both of them played the absolute best, both of them truly believe they can win. We all believe they can win. They've proven that by being here. But who's actually going to get you over the line? This thing's beyond your control, honestly. That's how close this competition is for me.
Okay, and I mean, on that note, do you think there'll ever be someone who's outside of an organization, who's outside of this, realm of greatness that these players are in, that are going to be able to break through?
You're asking some hard ones, right? Can I tell you something? By then, I think they would have been poached. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem. If you're really that good,
Yeah.
they would have poached you. It's kind of like a Hamza situation where they like saw the up and
You can't be out there on your own for too long.
You can't be out there on
Someone's
your
gonna come
own. They'll be like, ish, there's this guy. And the players talk at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in the org as well, I'll be like, oh, but have you guys seen this new player? He's up and coming a little bit. He's doing funny stuff. I think by then, if they really believe in you, you might be poached. Or we might have like an Utman situation where he
Utman
just comes
2.0 is
in.
coming.
Yes, free agent,
A
walks
free agent
in, walks out, does the job.
A couple of upsets here and there. I mean, that's also a massive possibility. But I think for that to really, really, truly happen, right? You're gonna need a day, or let me not say a day, because it takes us a few days, right, to get to the tournament.
Couple of days,
it's gonna need a tournament where truly the top three, it was not that tournament.
And then someone had like a Leicester City type run.
Yeah, like a
there
Leicester
we
City
go.
type run. Fate was just not on their hands there,
Okay, well, it's good to know that players out there can still believe that somehow maybe they can get into this cool kids club of these elite players. I mean, it might not be happening anytime soon, but I know at least by having eDiski competitions, we afford everyone the chance to at least, throw their hat in the ring.
I mean, it could happen also. There's another way this could happen, right? You could have a young player get signed. Things don't work out at the organization,
Yeah.
Maybe things are, a bit acrimonious between them and the org. And then while they're a free agent, before they go to the next org, that's when the tournament hits.
Yeah,
that's when they can come through, get themselves a W, make a strong push towards the end. And we've seen it before, right? Masoom was at the tournament, not signed to anybody.
Yeah.
And Masoom is a top player. So if Masoom was, let's say, 3 years younger, back in his prime, and in the same situation, he could have been the free agent to get the dub.
Yeah, he really could have. I mean, we called him Iceman for a reason. Cool, calm, collected. I mean, even though he didn't have a great run, you could see that, like, all right, this is just another day in the park for him, as much of a break as he's taken. So I think you're talking some despicable timelines there. It needs some crazy things to happen. But that is probably a good theory. I think, if anything, it would be kind of maybe that situation where you find like they were on a team and then they leave the team just before we get into our season 9 or our season 10.
Also means they don't have to share the paycheck. They get to keep all the money.
No,
Yeah,
100%,
that's
no
also
breaking off a couple of percentage. Okay, so you got Zaid, you got Asim, you got Kalen. I mean, do you see them being consistent for the next couple of years? Do you
Yeah, for
think,
sure.
for them, that's their main focus, right? They're all in.
Those guys, the thing that for me really separates those guys from everybody else, right? It's not the fact that they're really good, they're very consistent in how they play, it's that they've been consistent across a lot of titles, right? So I want to take you all back in time. I'm bringing back that hyperbolic time machine from last week. Think about how different a game FIFA 17 is, right? From EAFC 25.
For sure.
Right? The levels, the difference, right? We've literally had people that have won tournaments, right? Let's say FIFA 20. After that, where's the player now? Right? The game is just too different, right? And they couldn't maintain their consistency throughout the different cycles of the game. Kalen's been doing it for a near decade at this point. Zaid's been on it for like 5 years now. Asim's been on it since his debut. And throughout the games, throughout the messiness sometimes of the new EAFC cycle, they still find ways to remain on top. So I think for me, that's the thing that really is special about them. The fact that they can be that consistent regardless of the game type.
Yeah, I think there were certain EAFCs that did favor players like playstyles.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at it right now, a big, the tactic that's being used, especially by Asim, is sending a corner in and going for the spectacular, like the bicycle kick,
Right.
which is something very new to this EAFC, whereas in the previous versions, it was basically impossible to do. But we've seen a couple of them go in from Asim kind of in that situation. So some players also just in tune with like just the mechanics of the game.
The
at
match
the time.
engine, I think people don't really speak about it that often. Is that like for every iteration, these guys are having to learn what's changed, what's different, and how does it affect my game?
Like you said, like I mean, if you're looking at a 10 years ago kind of situation to now, I mean that's
chalk and cheese.
It's chalk and cheese. It's a whole different game.
Even 2 years, right? Because for me, one of the biggest changes that especially affect players at the top level that's happened in AFC 25 is that they removed your ability to individually place your players anywhere on the pitch, right? Now you have like preset formations, preset player roles.
Right.
And before you see players, right, the first thing you do, you get into the game, making some random changes, you've got your left wing back now suddenly in midfield, holding that line. And now you have to actually play how EA intends you to play, right? You can't just curate your own game style. And that changes things a lot. If you've been used to just doing whatever the hell you want for the entire run that you've been playing the game, and now they say, no, this is optimal. Right? And not all players can adapt to situations where they have to be optimal. But these guys have remained optimal somehow. I don't know how to say. It's like watching fighting games. You play fighting games and there's one guy, regardless of which iteration of the game, regardless of the nerfs to his character, plays twice, he's like, I clocked it, I know what to do. And I can find the optimal combos no matter what.
Okay, I mean, all of that just makes it such a sumptuous meal, this game between, Zaid and Kalen, because looking at them coming into this one, both of them know that they have a chance to make history. The stakes are high. And I just think that, whoever loses this one, you can't really feel bad for them because they've been a champion before, right? Like, that's the beauty of it, is that, like, you can feel bad, but at some point, we're trying to prove a point of having a double champion, and you've been a champion.
I think I feel bad for Asim if he loses, though, to be honest with you.
It's a long day.
It would have been
Because
a long
of
day.
the journey, right?
The journey, and on top of that, it's
Fair
kind
enough.
of like it has not been like his VS at all since he lost one, if you think about it, right? He's been trying to get back into that winning stride. He's been consistent, of course, the top three. But like you said, it's tough when there's two good players in front of you. You have to kind of just be a bit neutral and be like, yeah, whoever wins really did deserve to win it, because like we've been saying, Kalen has been dismantling everyone in the upper bracket, and then you drop down, you make sure he comes back straight into it, Asim, and it's like, no, I'm coming back for that man.
The only person I feel bad for after all of this is said and done is the person who didn't call their bookie before the game.
Or whoever comes third. Whoever comes third, because they're stuck in the lower bracket somewhere, and it's like they had the opportunity to turn things around. Well, I'm looking forward to it, guys. You guys are going to break it down for us because I want to see how this went down between Asim and Kalen. We're looking ahead to this grand final. I'm excited. I hope you are too. We're about to check it out because when we were there, the atmosphere was intense. Coaches, fans, players, these two, me. You should have been there, but because you weren't, we can show you this.
Championship Sunday! Hey! For Kalen, it's a title defense. And for Asim, he's trying to get back into that and be the first person to win this title twice.
Well, to be honest, they are two fantastic players. It can really go either way. I think Kalen does have the advantage because Asim has to beat him 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. And Kalen only has to beat him twice.
I'm betting on Asim. I know Kalen's the favorite, but I love the underdog story. Yeah, his coach is really good. His tactics are insane. I know him for a while, so I know he's got the tactics down, so I'm hoping it can come through in this game though.
No, Kalen he keeps his emotions in check when he plays, which is really important, especially in high stakes games like these. So
I expected him to be in the final, like he's the best out of the 3 in my opinion. Like I said, he's one of the best in Africa overall, so I mean, I expected to play him at some points in the tournament.
I think just play my game, have the momentum coming from the lowers, but it's going to be fun.
Kalen was I've been saying he's been upping his game, he's been looking good the whole weekend, and I just don't think he was prepared for Asim coming into this one with just all of these new tactics and the play style that he has, right? Yeah. We're going in over here to game number 1 of the real grand final. Woo! Let's do it! Bring it back to Kaká, who's been a danger man, looking for that spectacular goal!
from Kalen with his bullet. Now he's in the box, and with Rafael Liao.
Has to slow down a little bit. Ndombele. Henry! I mean, Henry just looks like a freaking musician. He's looking to slot it in.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Matthias Cunha running past his man. Maicon unable to catch him. He goes for the spectacular, and he finds a goal.
Finds Morgan, Kalen looking to level things up on the 80th minute over here with Colin! And he finds a goal back into it. Cross over here. Can he make something of it? Here's Henry! And he slots it back.
Game number 2 of the proper grand final reset. Asim versus Kalen.
This could be an opportunity though for Morgan! And he slots it in, Kalen.
Amazing save, but you know how Asim likes to do, throws it in, and there's gonna be the goal from the corner kick.
Yes, Morgan, he really needs this win right now, Kalen, to propel himself back into this grand final to prove to everybody why he is the defending champion. Time, the advantage is over. This could be something spectacular and amazing. Here's Alexia Puteas, sends it back into the box and he slots it in! To send us into extra time with Kaká.
Kaká, the hero at the very end of the game. I thought it was all over.
Now, finally, over the top over here for Thierry Henry to pull it back in and send it into the back of the net over here for Kalen to open up scoring in extra time.
Everybody. This is the 5th game that these two have been playing up against each other in a row. The record so far, right, is 4-0. But now look at this, the quick release on the ball for Asim. Henry in on space, does he have the shot? Yes, he does.
Like we said, hey.
Same thing over and over again. How fucking dead is that? No skill, 0 skill.
Kalen looking for a second goal of the game here. The dispossession not going to work out. Odegaard able to keep the ball, and now Kaká
slots it in.
Slides it in. Past the keeper. Yashin can do nothing. Much support from Maicon. He finally gets it back. There it is for Puteas.
This Asim, the turn on to Henry, Slutsville, California. Yeah.
Whew. Both players have already gotten themselves guaranteed 36,000, 50,000 extra rand. Rest in the fate of this one matchup. For pass to Puteas, she cuts back, she shoots,
No
she
way!
scores!
Equalize things here, going into the halftime. Morgan! It's a goal for Kalen!
One forward, she might cut back to Henry. No, she's going all the way in, and she does!
That could be it!
Thierry Henry!
Thierry Henry, we've been screaming his name all day. On the ball over here, he's sending it over the top. He wants to end with style. This is Nixa Asim, but he's done it anyway. He's won it. Your champion of the eDiski Telkom VS Gaming Season 8 is Asim.
In the moment, ecstatic. I'm happy. I'm mentally fatigued, but it is what it is. Being a double world champion, that does sound nice. But being a double world champion, I think not to look too much into it, because it's going to come next year. I shouldn't be too confident. I should just focus on my game, focus on improving, and it's only up from here.
I'm disappointed about not winning. You know, that's my end goal, of course. Trying to defend my championship. Unfortunately, it didn't go my way. But you know what, fair play to my opponent. He played really well. I knocked him into a lower bracket yesterday, pretty convincingly, I would say. So for him to turn up today the way he did, fair play.
So guys, I mean, this is the game, the one to watch. In terms of seeing this one, it was such a wild game to watch because obviously this run-in, lower bracket, reset, but still, mentality, big game mentality. He comes through and he gets the dub. Asim, I mean, incredible. Not even Kalen could say, hey, this was wrong, this was wrong. He was like this.
Exactly.
He was like, you got me.
What can you say?
What do you make of that final?
So me and Tendo earlier, right, we're actually talking about some of the best finals we've seen in South Africa, right?
Right.
Across all disciplines,
Yeah.
AV Esport, right?
Yeah.
And you and I have been around for a long time, you know? We're amongst in this situation,
Yeah.
This is up there. Maybe in EAFC,
100%.
without a doubt, the best one I've ever seen.
Okay.
But in esports in general, this is high up there. Like the closeness of the competition, how back and forth it was. How on earth do you get in a final, right? 7-6, extra time. In like what, game 5, game 6? I don't even remember what game anymore. There were that many of them. And you're just like, yeah, okay, this is real skill being showed. And I think the crazy thing is that at the very, very end, despite the fact that Asim won, right, I wasn't fully confident he was going to do it.
Right.
Part of you is still there thinking, hey, Kalen's still pulling off a madness, right? It just so happened it's not enough.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was that close, that impressive, both of them scored out of their mind. Some of the best goals we've actually seen in years and years and years of EAFC, you know. I don't know. I just went home that same day and I was like, where's Kaká, bro? I need to get him involved in the team.
I mean, he didn't sneak the win.
He did not.
He built it, he worked on it, and no one looking at that can say he wasn't worthy of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly speaking, like Sine's saying, I think that's one of the greatest, esports finals we've had in the country.
Yeah.
Two top dogs representing two big organizations like Seed, Nixa, coaches are there, seasoned ex-players, the both of them. The atmosphere, it was just so hectic, honestly speaking. And like you're saying, I think it was a surprise for Asim. Like, yes, he was really consistent. I had an inkling after the lower bracket final that, like, okay, this guy, he's cooking something.
Yeah.
He's cooking something serious. And I always, come into a day when I know that, like, the winner of the winners bracket final is coming in on a cold start. I think the cold start is so dangerous. And that's exactly what happened with Kalen. If you look at that first game, absolute cold start, just could not do anything. Asim completely dismantling him. I mean, by the time he had any bearings, Kalen, it was already too late. Bracket reset.
Yeah.
We're back in for another best of 5. I mean, what do you even do at that point if you're Kalen, right? Yes, he's trying. He's very best to try and, make something of it. But some of the tactics that are coming out of Asim just superb. And like I said, Thierry Henry, just some goals that came out of there with the link up with Kaká.
The overhead balls.
So momentum and adaptability seems to be something that came through from Asim's side, right? He just found like he had the win in the bag, but he also knew that I need to change a couple of things, not keep things the same the whole time, because a smart player like Kalen will pick up on that. But I guess he outwitted Kalen.
He did the genius thing, right, in terms of like the tax exchange for what he was doing throughout the entire tournament, right? Throughout the entire tournament, my man was ignoring our hero Ebabo. Ebabo didn't even exist, right? Didn't care about him. After game 1, he's like, he brought him in as a sub. Wasn't even supposed to be starting. And then he saw what this card could do against Kalen. He's like, right, this is now the main man. This is going to be the new focal point. It's up to you, Kalen, to try and figure this out. By the time Kalen starts to, okay, we're responding now. Oh, guess what? I still have Kaká. Hey, brother, please. The guy that was initially my focal point is still in the team. Don't worry. You can bring him back in. At that point, you spent 2-3 games thinking about it, Babo, thinking about those runs. Now Kaká's back in the team, the slip balls, the spectacular goals from outside of the box. And then you can see Kalen just being like, okay, I don't have enough time to respond to this. Even if he had the right idea, not enough opportunity to try and implement it.
Yeah, I think, again, I always talk about just the physique and how players are
body
sitting and the body language.
Yeah.
You could just see the entire tournament, well, that grand final rather. Kalen's body language was he wasn't having any of it,
He was relaxed.
He was too relaxed. And then, a goal comes in, he'll take his headphones off, he'll turn to Bisby Anchi, he'll be like, dude, like, what's actually happening here? Like, I don't really understand. And I think even after we talked to him, he was telling us about, like, the corners that I had mentioned, not so long ago, that how do you defend that? How do you defend that? If you got it in the right position, it's just an easy goal for him most of the time. And I think Ruud Gullit as well, after making that another tactical change out of Asim, bringing him in, opening up the middle of the field a lot. It was just so difficult for Kalen to really fight back into it. There were so many times, I think, when we were casting there, I look at Sneh and I'm like,
what's happening?
Like, what is happening? It doesn't look like Kalen at all. It looks like somebody took his controller and is playing for him, and he's just like there as a ghost.
Right. But it just goes to show what a good job.
I mean, I cannot take anything away from Asim. He came through, showed us exactly why he's a champion. First double champion as well on top of that. Maybe he's going to be the first triple champion. I'm talking too far ahead. But if he keeps playing the way he was playing there in that grand final, I mean, he is looking so good right now.
Let me just say, the only reason he won the tournament, right? Every now and then you'll have a tournament where, let's say, the big dog gets beaten, right? And the person who beats him can go on to make an amazing run. The only reason Asim won the tournament, because he had the guts, the power to take down Uthman. If Uthman was still around, it would have been him in the finals. Easy, right, bro?
New rates.
Okay. That's an interesting one in terms of how you see that one going. But I mean, Asim, congratulations to him. Now the question becomes, okay, can he do it back to back? We haven't had that. And now, will someone else maybe be a champion next time? So I guess the question I'm asking, can Asim retain it, or will we have someone who breaks up the club, or, last part of the question, will it be someone from the club again next year?
I think it depends for us as viewers, right?
Yeah.
Us as on playing it itself, actually, we want to experience the best possible thing.
Right.
The best possible thing would be next year, Asim, Kalen, Zaid, knocked out in the first round of the tournament.
I love how you pulled that up. I was wondering, I was like, okay, yeah, you have something to say. But no, for them not to be even involved.
No.
Yeah, man.
Out of like bottom 8, where it's like, it is what it is, we're done, we're washed. Somebody else has to go and do a madness, you know, and really show something else deeper on, because we also don't want to be in a position where, because of the way that these guys play, right, that the entire ecosystem of the game sort of trends toward one playstyle, right? So when more really good players come in and are able to win, that's also going to change what the playstyle looks like for all of us. So I think Asim is probably the most likely to be able to do it, just given the fact that all of his wins have come from miraculous runs.
Right.
So if he can make another miraculous situation happen, he's very likely to do it. But I don't want him to, not at least for now, you know?
Okay.
Let him go chill.
Well, I mean, that breaks the streak, right? You gotta go back to back. So
Look,
if someone
He can do it. He can go back to back in 5 years, you know?
No,
you
look,
think it'll be play?
I already made the joke to say that he might go the back-to-back essentially, by winning the title 3 times. But it's a tough one, honestly speaking. And, you know, we take such a long period of time between one eDiski season to the next one. So much is happening. The the EAFCs are changing, etc., etc. The roster, like the Oak Shuffle. So
Too early to call it.
it's so early to call. I mean, how can we call it right now? Let's think about somebody like, we're not even mentioning Radar. He's upset. He's angry. He lost HLES.
He's got a bone
He's
to pick
not
with
in.
everybody.
He wasn't in eDiski. So he's gonna be grinding this entire year to be like, I'm coming back into this one. Next year, they are not gonna see me. Hamza has something to prove as well. He still has a big thing to prove. And he could be somebody that comes in, you know, it won't be his rookie season. He'll just come in and probably try and prove us all wrong. But I think because of the age, it's still a little bit emotional. If I have to be honest though, considering, you know, our timeline, it's definitely between the top 3. Zaid, Kalen, Asim, one of them will win next year. I definitely think so. I just don't know if Asim can go back to back. But hey, maybe.
Maybe he'll show you. But then maybe the conversation will change from, you know, in terms of the consistency, we might be crowning our youngest VS Gaming.
Now we're talking.
eDiski
now we're
champion.
talking something.
So I think that might be the future of where things go because of the chasing pack.
No, that's a good one, honestly. That's something, I mean, everybody's trying to chase. You always want to be the youngest to do something, the youngest to walk to that distance and that whatever. So who's sitting good right now? Obviously, we're looking at Redan. So they've got a bit of time to prove themselves.
And still be the youngest.
Then still be the youngest, but clock is ticking, unfortunately. You know, like you come out next year early on, gotta wait another year. Yeah, so it can be really hectic. I mean, what do you think?
I'm just thinking that, like, again, I want a new champion next year. It will be really good for all of us if it's someone that's young. Because, you know, they're going to bring their friends and family with them. Those people might see the more FIFA players, and then suddenly the scene is growing bigger. I do think, though, that the only problem right now is, you know, you made this point last week about, like, there's young players, but who have a lot of experience, right, because of how much they've been playing. And I think that, like, if you're young right now and you're not yet at that level, right, you're not yet at the levels of winning a big tournament, if you're not signed, you're not at that level just yet, right, I don't see how you get the necessary experience now if you're not in that ecosystem. So I just think it's really, 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 really difficult for a young one to be able to do that. Somebody that's
they must go to their school for, you know, the esports leagues and that kind of thing. It's like they must start cultivating that professional aspect at a younger age.
It's just very difficult to do, especially if you don't have the resources of an org behind you. You might not know about any of these things just yet. Maybe you're not playing at a high enough level on PlayStation, right, that you're able to crack the good lobbies or get yourself a good game when you're searching online. So I think it's unlikely. It'll be very exciting.
Look, I'm gonna say something. Obviously, you know, they've already teased the new EAFC 26. There's a new system in how they're letting people enter the FC Pro brackets. So I think young guys are going to have an opportunity now to also be pretty much trying to compete on there. So there is kind of a platform for them now if they can't get into like maybe all of these other things because there's too many doors to open for them to get into a right position. But I mean, it's going to be there right at home for them. They can just play online and already be playing higher and competitive matches with people that are hungry to make it even into the world stage, you know.
Well, there we go. So it gives us something to look forward to, having witnessed history already. Who knows? Maybe there'll be more to happen at the future Comic Cons and eDiski finals. Only time will tell. Guys, I really have appreciated kind of picking your brains and taking that time machine back to what was an amazing grand final. I mean, now that you've kind of spoken about it, it's fresh in my memory. I can smell, taste everything that was in that room, which is probably not a good thing. But
Do you remember this? You remember this?
Yeah, I remember fucking triggering. So the question remains, are the up-and-coming players in eDiski worth the hype? Or will we be seeing the same names winning the league for a few more seasons? Watch the full podcast to our deep dive on Asim's path to the title. And let us know on socials which rookie you're betting on for next season.